Ay, 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 muy caliente. Who is this fiery Latina? So we all know that the Oscars are fake. We know that they're fake. We know that they're increasingly fake. We know that they're increasingly partisan, increasingly political. But I think there's still a part, there is of me at least, there's a part of me that looks for that sort of overlap between what is true and good and the sort of fake pageantry of the Oscars. You know, it's an institution for gosh sakes. You know, you still want to believe that the Oscars mean something. So, you know, when Godzilla -1 won for best visual effects, it both sort of satisfied the weird sort of neurotic considerations of the Oscar, but it was also well-deserved. This year, you know, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen Anora yet, but I like the films of Sean Baker. So I say, oh, wow, Sean Baker's movie was nominated for an Oscar. Hot dog. At the same time, there's a few films that have been nominated this year that look like, you know, those fake movies from Tropic Thunder. They had those trailers. There was the one with Robert Downey Jr. and Tobey Maguire as the gay priests. A lot of the Oscar nominees this year remind me of that fake trailer from Tropic Thunder. There seems to be a substantial divide this year between the movies that the Academy of Motion Pictures wants to celebrate and the movies that people have actually seen and enjoyed. And the one that's getting the most attention at the moment is Emilia Perez. When Emilia Perez first started getting all this critical attention, I swear like nobody had seen it. Like nobody had heard of this movie except for a select group of critics. And this is despite it being on Netflix. You know, everybody has Netflix. Every critic was lavishing praise on this movie, and yet functionally no one had seen it. Naturally, people started to get curious about this movie, and then they got angry. The transes don't like it because it's an insensitive portrayal of trans people. The Mexicans don't like it because it's inaccurate. It's culturally inaccurate. Me, myself, I have not seen Emilia Perez, despite having the opportunity. You know, I could at any moment. We have Netflix. I could literally just press a button and be watching Emilia Perez. And, you know, when you're making YouTube videos and everybody's talking about something, everybody's talking about Emilia Perez. Everybody is so mad at it. You're like, well, obviously I have to get in on the fun. I should watch this movie. I should review it. You know, I could also just puke. I could also just stick my fingers down my throat and puke everywhere. You know, I've been watching William Castle movies instead. Rather than subject myself to Emilia Perez, I've been just enjoying some nice William Castle horror movies. And that's been great. That's, you know, you can't let this stuff in, you know, when you let this stuff in, when you let this stuff like Emilia Perez into your heart, into your mind, you know, I think it, you know, it's all fun and games, but I also think it does sort of, I don't know, you could spend that time learning a new language instead. You could learn Spanish. So while I have not subjected myself to the film, I have been sort of paying attention to all the hubbub. So everybody has been mad at Emilia Perez, but also there's sort of this other layer in that the people who seem to be the most up in arms about the film are sort of the very people that the film and the filmmakers and probably the Academy of Motion Pictures, it's sort of the exact same people who they seem to be trying to speak to, who they seem to be trying to uplift, I guess, to use their verbiage. But then even among all this outrage, you could sort of envision sort of where Emilia Perez might sit in sort of the broader cultural narrative. You could sort of picture the narrative that would make its Oscar win possible. The narrative being sort of a return. It's kind of a tricky one. It's sort of both, in some sense, a return to a meritocracy while still sort of honoring these sort of progressive cultural affirmations that have taken such root throughout the last decade. So even though, you know, the progressive rabble might sort of be up in arms, it's sort of Emilia Perez winning an Oscar sort of enshrines these sort of elite tastemakers who are still progressive, they're still culturally progressive, but they're the right kind of progressive. Because I think there has been this sort of a schism among progressives and in Hollywood. The schism is most embodied by sort of the Israel Palestine conflict, where you have some people in Hollywood who are very vocal in their support of Palestine, and then you got a bit more of the older guard who, again, they're still very progressive, but in a more sort of straight-laced, button-down sort of way. And they see these younger startups, being very vocal about the political issues that they might not necessarily agree with. And I think that's sort of some of the divide that you see sort of happening in Hollywood. In any case, what you had was this film that a lot of progressives really didn't like, and yet was still able to wield these sort of progressive affirmations in pursuit of its own prestige and accolades. That is until Emilia Perez herself, muy caliente. This person, Carla Sofia Gascon, some tweets were uncovered, some not nice tweets about George Floyd and about Muslims, and just, and all of a sudden, now you've got all these articles talking about how Amelia Perez's Oscar hopes have been dashed. You've got the director and the co-stars distancing themselves from, the main character of their movie. And as I'm reading all this, I says to myself, I don't understand. I thought Carla Sofia Gascon was nominated for Best Actress. It wasn't a nominee for nicest person. It's not a nominee for the most correct political beliefs. This is a nominee for Best Actress. I don't understand. What's the problem here? If this person was the potential Best Actress before, shouldn't they still be the potential Best Actress now? All the headlines leading up to this were Carla Sofia Gascon could be the first openly transgender Best Actress winner. Mean tweets don't change the performance, do they? They don't change the performance that's on screen. So I don't understand. What's the problem here? It's all, unless it's not merit-based at all or something, that would be, it begs the question, doesn't it? What is the value in saying this is the first trans Best Actress nominee if in truth you're really sort of waiting for the right, best trans nominee. You're waiting for the most morally allegiant Best Actress nominee, I guess. One movie that I saw this year and really enjoyed was Thelma, starring a 93-year-old June Squibb. There's a potential nominee where you've got sort of the politically sort of, you've got a nice narrative there. She's a 93-year-old woman. You could say that's the oldest Best Actress nominees, potential winner. You've got both, a great movie, a great performance, and you've got a nice feel-good story for everybody to walk away with. Instead, you've got this sort of aborted attempt at political activism just sort of occupying one of the slots now for Best Actress. I don't know. There was some articles that were mentioning, like, if the Oscar went to the very first trans Best Actress nominee, it could be, you're sticking it to Donald Trump or whatever. And even then, like, it doesn't seem to have that sort of cultural cachet to make that sort of statement. It doesn't seem to have any of that sort of authentic grassroots enthusiasm behind it to even, make that kind of statement. So it's just, I don't know, what are you trying to do here? And I suppose they could still do some sort of wild card move where they do give this person the award and they say, we're just sticking it to everybody. We don't give a crap. But I don't know, when you've got the director disavowing his main star, when you've got the co-stars disavowing this person, I think there's this thing in Hollywood where there's a very sort of edgy, safe mentality where these people will pat themselves on the back for making these bold political statements, but then it's really just sort of, they're still sort of working within this accepted progressive paradigm. Hollywood does have this, they do sort of pick and choose their moral battles. They will give Roman Polanski an award but write some mean tweets in Spanish that nobody saw at the time. That's unforgivable. I think this whole thing started in the first place because Netflix just sort of backed up a dump truck full of money to whoever makes all these decisions, all these news outlets, the Academy, whatever. Netflix just backed a heap and helping of money up to their doors and said, we want our streaming service to be the first one to get, well, I think Apple TV Plus got an Oscar or something, whatever. We want our we want our slop machine to have an Oscar so we can actually pretend like, we want to pretend like things still matter. We want to pretend like we were in a material world full of consequences, and it's not all fake. It's not all fake gobbledygook, but anyway, in the end, none of this really matters. The most important thing is you can watch a bunch of William Castle movies on Tubi right now. You can watch them on Tubi or on YouTube. You've got, I think today I'm going to watch The Tingler with Vincent Price, but the other day I watched Mr. Sardonicus, 13 Ghosts, just seeing all his little gimmicks, just delightful stuff. I think we should give William Castle an Oscar, personally. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if so inclined. I write books. If you like books, okay, goodbye.